observed in large intestine, with no significant difference between those who are receiving wild type or granzyme B knocked out CD4 T cell. The difference was just in the frequency of the bleeding. We found that those mice who are receiving granzyme B knocked out, who are receiving granzyme B knocked out have more frequent bleeding than those who receive just wild type, but the pathology is the same. Furthermore, intramural bleeding was confirmed by H&E staining of colon section, which clearly showed us some RBCs track out of blood vessel within the lamina propria. This type of bleeding was observed just at day 8, which closely precedes the host death occurring at a significant higher frequency for those who are receiving granzyme B knocked out CD4 T cell. This may indicate that this bleeding is mostly the cause of the death. To further explore the mechanism underlying the enhanced GVHD activity of granzyme B CD4 T cell, we used flow cytometry to examine T cell expansion in host mice. What we found was interesting. In control group, those who are receiving just 1/1, those very few donor T cells were detected at day 5. Around 20,000 T cells were detected in spleen for those who are receiving wild type cells, while around 60,000 T cells, donor T cells, were detected in those who are receiving granzyme B knocked out CD4 T cells. These results suggest that granzyme B deficiency in the donor T effector cell increased T cell expansion. However, significant difference between those who are receiving granzyme a wild type or granzyme B knocked out CD4 didn't persist after day 7. So, activation-induced cell death. Activation-induced cell death is critical regulatory mechanism for T cell development, limiting immune response and maintaining peripheral tolerance and hemostasis. Previous report showed that granzyme B was involved in activation-induced cell death of CD4 and CD8 T cell. Our recent study showed that granzyme B caused significant AICD in donor CD8 T cells after bone marrow transplantation. We hypothesized that granzyme B mediated AICD may account also for difference in mediation GVHD between those who are receiving wild type and those who are receiving granzyme B knocked out CD4. So, does granzyme B affect AICD of donor CD4 as we hypothesized? To test this hypothesis, we use annexin-5 staining in combination with live and dead dye to measure CD4 T cells based in host mice. Annexin-5 detect early stage of cell death, while live and dead dye is used to detect the late stage of death. So, we found that more than 50% of those mice who were receiving wild type CD4 were annexin-5 positive and undergo early stage of cell death, while less than 30% of those receiving granzyme B knocked out was annexin-5 positive. This data indicates that granzyme B contribute to activation-induced cell death of donor CD4 T cells in host mice. So granzyme B knocked out has less percentage of cell death, which subsequently result in more cell expansion, as I mentioned, and hence high GVHD will develop. So far, our results have demonstrated that granzyme B diminishes the GVHD activity of donor-derived CD4, CD25 T cells via indication of activation-induced cell death in these cells, while granzyme B knocked out cells exhibit an enhanced expansion that can cause more lethal GVHD. These unexpected results prompted us to apply or to test how granzyme B impacts GVL effect. We utilize tumor cells, which are A20 tumor cells. We inject these host mice where those tumor cells and CD4 cells, either granzyme B or knocked out. Using bioluminescence imaging to measure tumor burden, we have observed that granzyme B knocked out, that granzyme B knocked out exhibit more tumor burden than those who receive wild type CD4 T cells. And this is indicate that granzyme B contribute to optimal GFT activity of donor CD4 T cells. And this is quite different to what happened in CD8 T cells. Those results prompted us to do the same experiment, but this time we want to apply it on band T cells, which contain both CD4 and CD8. As we see before that, CD4 T cells and CD8 T cells counteracting each other. So we create a GFL model, was creating to start the experiment. We did body weight twice weekly. We did body weight twice weekly, and bioluminescence imaging to detect tumor burden. So, those mice who received bone marrow alone didn't exhibit or didn't show any significant decrease of body weight till after day 20, where those bone marrow or those who receiving bone marrow with A20 tumor cells start to have high tumor burden. So this is indicate that their decreasing weight or their body weight decreasing come from the tumor toxicity, not from GVHD or GFL. Those mice who are receiving high dose band T cells, exhibit severe body weight loss, and this is indicate that they have high GVHD. In the same time, when we detect their tumor burden, we found that they have low tumor burden, and this is also indicate that they have high GVT. So in the same time they have high GVHD, they had high GVL with no significant difference between those who are receiving wild type or granzyme B knocked out. Those who are receiving just moderate dose of T cells, of band T cells, have just mild or moderate body weight loss. And that also having tumor burden, they have just moderate high tumor burden, and this is indicate that they had just moderate to mild GVHD and moderate to mild GVL with no any significant difference between those who are receiving wild type and those who are receiving granzyme B knocked out band T cells. So, as a conclusion, granzyme B diminishes the ability of CD4 cells to cause lethal and pathological GVHD. Granzyme B contribute to the optimal GVL activity of CD4 T effector cell. Granzyme B play opposite role in CD4 T effector cells versus CD8 T cells in mediation GVHD and GVL effect. Granzyme B contribute to activation-induced cell death of donor CD4 T effector cells and result in a survival advantage for granzyme B knocked out CD4 T cells. Granzyme B doesn't affect band T cell mediation GVL response. As a future direction, this conclusion doesn't rule out another mechanism that may involve T cell triggered granzyme B mediated damage of antigen presenting cells. Previous studies showed that both donor and host hematopoietic antigen presenting cells could induce CD4 T cells mediation GVHD via major histocompatibility class 2. It remains to be defined how granzyme B impact the interaction between CD4 T cells and various antigen presenting cells. Our lab started to study transplantation using transgenic mice that overexpressed or are deficient in for granzyme B inhibitor, which is serine protease inhibitor 6. And this will allow our lab to define how granzyme B mediated damage of antigen presenting cells in GVT and GVHD response. Finally, our results suggest promising strategy to separate GVHD from desired GVT effect. Based on our finding, we believe that genetically silencing granzyme B or granzyme B knocking out in donor CD8 T cell may lead to favorable outcome. Specifically, we propose to use granzyme B silencing CD8 T cell as a supplement to hematopoietic stem cell transplantation because of enhanced GFT and decreased GFT. Finally, I would like to thank my mentor, Dr. Shufan, my committee members, Dr. McCarthy and Dr. Azraq. Dr. McCarthy's kindness and support couldn't be forgotten, and Dr. Azraq, he did lots of work for my project. He was my guidance all the way in my Master of Science program. Also, I would like to thank Dr. Chawla, Nick, and Rachel for their support and help, and also I couldn't forget Michelle for her helping through all of my program. So, time for question right now.
Can you go back to the Pantry slides? There's something new I want to ask you.
Okay.
I didn't notice that before.
Okay.
So, look like, look at the body weight. We're trying to use that on the right panel. We're trying to use that as an indication for severity of GHD there, right? So there is absolute overlap with the high dose, but the low dose, which is I don't know, the purple or pink.
No, the low dose is in the middle here. This
Yeah,
is
in
the
the
low
middle
dose.
there. But it looks like there's some kind of separation. Wild type NP is higher than NP, NP is lower. So this will be consistent with the CD4 data, is that right? CD4 data, that's what we saw there.